Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Lafayette College Athletics Town Hall. My name is Paulo Coelho, and I'm very excited to be your host today for the unveiling of the Athletic Department's strategic plan. I first arrived in Easton back in the 1900s, graduating in 2003, having helped the men's soccer team and Coach Bond to one of our program's many Patriot League titles. I'm also the current president of the Maroon Club. The Maroon Club, with its executive director, Josh Azer, is a group of alumni, coaches, and administrators whose mission is to enhance the experience of the student athletes and put them in the best position to win. We do this through a number of ways, one of which is fundraising. Last fiscal year, we raised $1.5 million that went directly to vital programs such as sports medicine, strength and conditioning, and the Oaks Leadership Academy. Over the next hour, you will hear a few remarks from some of our key stakeholders on campus, as well as the strategic plan from our Director of Athletics, Sharita Freeman. Following that, we'll have a quick chat, and we'll open it up for a Q&A session. So without further ado, please welcome the President of Lafayette College, Allison Byerly.
Good afternoon. Welcome to everyone who is here, and of course, welcome to those who are watching this online. For those who aren't in the room, I'll just say this is a wonderful crowd I see in front of me. Many coaches, student athletes, staff, faculty, alumni, members of the Maroon Club, several vice presidents. We have the board chair, Bob Sell, here in the front row. So I think you see a lot of strong support for athletics here today. I'd like to begin by thanking Paulo and the Maroon Club for their unflagging support of Lafayette athletics, which has been so critical to the program in the past. To me, this is a really exciting day for athletics at Lafayette College. This is really a moment when we both celebrate what we've accomplished in the past, but talk about how we will move forward in the future and the exciting vision that we know will take us there. When I first came to Lafayette, I was, of course, excited to be coming to a Division I program and excited to see the role of athletics at the college and how central it is to the college's culture in many ways. This is a place where student athletes get to study and compete at the very highest level, both academically and athletically. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the plan is that it reinforces that synergy between different aspects of the student-athlete experience. I have found that athletics contributes to an engaging campus culture, one that draws students in, that makes them feel part of a community, and even more importantly, it connects students across generations and helps generate a sense of spirit and pride across the entire community, and that's something that I've certainly felt very strongly in my time here. I think it's important to remember that times of great success for Lafayette athletics are not so far in the past. In my 5 years here, I certainly have been privileged to experience what I think was a highlight for many of us in the 150th game played at Yankee Stadium, which we talk about all the time still here at Lafayette. I find at Lehigh they don't seem to talk about it quite so much. And we certainly had a wonderful time in 2015 when we spilled out onto the floor of Kirby Arena after seeing the men's basketball team clinch the Patriot League championship. So we've had exciting moments as part of our journey. At the same time, I think we all recognize that we need to do more and we need to do better in order to be as excellent in athletics as we'd like to be and as we strive to be in all aspects at Lafayette College. And so we set in motion 2 years ago a process of reviewing our athletics program with a view towards thinking about how we could make it even stronger. As I think many of you know, we put together a steering committee that involved alumni, faculty, student athletes, and administrators, working with an external consultant to kind of review the state of athletics in relation to our Patriot League peers. That committee was chaired by Annette Diorio, and I want to thank Annette for doing a wonderful job in bringing a lot of different constituencies together as part of that discussion. Our consultant helped gather a lot of good data and information that informed the committee's deliberations, and we were very fortunate in the timing of the process that allowed us to put that information together and present it to our new athletic director when we hired Sharita Freeman. So she came on board with a large task in front of her. We had lots of discussion, lots of deliberation. She met with the committee numerous times to hear their thoughts and engage in that conversation, and then was able to put it together with work through her entire staff and the coaches of the athletics department into the plan that she's going to talk with you about today. One of the things that I think it's important to recognize as we look at the plan and what we hope to accomplish in athletics is that this is a critical time for Lafayette College in a variety of ways. This is a moment when we are thinking across the institution about how to be as strong as we can be in many regards, and where we have lots of ambitious plans for ways in which we can make the institution stronger. This is one of the many strands that come together into the kind of strength that we envision for the college. We are an ambitious institution. It's something that I take great pride in. When we first started talking about our strategic direction to enhance the affordability and distinction of the college by growing the size of the college, that also was regarded as a big and ambitious plan. 2 years into it, we're making excellent progress towards our goals, but we have a long road ahead of us to achieve those goals in that dimension. Here, too, I think you'll hear Sharita talk about a plan that has a clear vision for what will make athletics stronger, and it's a vision that's going to require energy and support from every member of the community. One of the things that I think has been important in the process is that all members of the President's Cabinet, and in particular Vice President for Finance Roger Demereski and Vice President for Development Kim Spang, who are both here, have been really integral in talking about what financial support for the plan will have to look like. One of the things that we recognize is that as we think about the ways in which we aspire to compete, the ways in which we aspire to create a championship culture, we have to think across the multiple dimensions of support needed and think about all of the ways in which the community can contribute. So to return to where I began with my thanks to the Maroon Club, one thing I'd want to say to members of the Maroon Club is that you'll be very important partners in this process, but you won't be alone. I think you'll find that there is support across the college community and support certainly from myself and from the administration in moving towards the important vision that Sharita is going to unveil today. So I'd like to thank all of you for being part of this process. I'd like to thank all of you for your commitment to Lafayette Athletics. And I'd like to say that we are excited to be taking this journey together. I know that we can do what it takes to get to where we want to go, and I really look forward to working with all of you to achieve that vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And now please welcome Lafayette College Vice President for Campus Life, Annette Diorio.
Oops, I'm a little bit taller than you, so I'm going to have to work this out. Thank you, Paula, and thank you, President Byerly. This is truly a key moment in the trajectory of Lafayette Athletics. We are all proud of the recent and continued academic achievements of our students, but have also been discouraged that our athletic teams have not achieved success at the same levels, and collectively, we want to see Lafayette Athletics improve competitively. Our students come to Lafayette because they know the rigorous academic environment that we provide will be the foundation upon which many future successes can be built. Why should they not expect, and we deliver, the same strong foundation for success in their athletic endeavors? We asked ourselves this question almost 2 years ago, and while the pace of change at institutions can feel slow or deliberate, depending on your perspective, we understood then and now that the clock is ticking. Let me add my thanks to the members of the Athletics Review Steering Committee who gave freely of their time and energy to help lay the groundwork for the plan you will see today. The task of the group was singular in focus. How can we improve the competitiveness of Lafayette Athletics? All members showed no shortage of passion for Lafayette and for the student experience. We identified collectively areas that we felt warranted further discussion, but agreed to embark on some immediate changes, even while the review was ongoing. Sharita will mention several of the immediate steps that have been taken, but let me highlight one that was identified very early in the process: the development and articulation of a critical partnership between enrollment and athletics that is lived out through the Athletics Liaison Program developed by Matt Hyde, our Dean of Admissions. The object of deepening this partnership is clear, but it is helpful to remind ourselves that being a supremely talented athlete does not make one less talented in the classroom, and that we are not operating at cross purposes to each other to be aggressive in looking for talented students to join our community. We are here today to look forward and to be energetic about the work we have left to do, but it would be wrong not to point out important ways that Lafayette Athletics has transformed over the past 20 years. These transformations have demonstrated the partnership between the administration and our dedicated alumni and parent base, whose generosity and support have enabled many of these accomplishments. The improvements to our athletic facilities have been and continue to be remarkable. I walk right past this building every day, and every day it is breathtaking to behold Fisher Stadium. Family members of mine or professional colleagues who visit me on campus can expect that I casually steer them in the direction of the field and then pause to absorb their compliments of our facilities. Thanks to the ongoing generosity of our alumni, we continue to upgrade and enhance our facilities, including a current project at Metzger Fields that will be a remarkable transformation of the gateway to our track, cross-country, soccer, field hockey, baseball, and softball venues. Gifts to the Maroon Club have also grown at a record pace and support many positive programs for our student athletes, including additional scholarships. As President Byerly has said, our goals are ambitious, but we can't shy away from setting the bar high. My colleagues and I stand with Sharita as she unveils her vision for the coming years and pledge our support to helping achieve it. I know what you're about to hear and see will get you as excited as I am about the future of Lafayette Athletics. Thank you.
What does it mean to be great?
What does it take to be the best?
To become a champion.
It's a change, a commitment, a championship mindset.
Every now and then, there comes a moment when sheer will and perseverance replaces mediocrity. A moment when okay is not okay anymore.
When good enough no longer cuts it. When being exceptional every day is the new standard.
This is that moment.
It's about transforming a culture. It's about putting our coaches and student athletes in the best position to succeed.
It's about changing the narrative of what it means to be a leopard.
We want to win, not just on the field, not just in the polls, but across the board.
Creating exceptional students, exceptional competitors, and exceptional citizens.
This time, this moment, is when we show what Lafayette can truly be.
The journey to the top of the hill begins with a single step. Right here, right now, we take that step together.
We are committed.
Swising to the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Mrazek hauls it in.
We will climb the hill.
Head on, they score! Believe it was Scotty, and Lafayette has come in and stunned Lehigh.
We will be champions.
Lindner! Lafayette, Patriot League champs, back to the NCAA tournament.
The Lafayette Leopards are Patriot League champions. They are going to the NCAA tournament. 65-63 the final.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome Director of Athletics, Sharita Freeman.
Wow. Climb the hill. How do we feel about that? Are we excited to do it? Yes. When I began my tenure at Lafayette College, I talked about the vision for Lafayette Athletics, what I believe we can be. I quickly learned that there was widespread support for that vision, but I grew tired of sharing what we could be. I wanted us to start talking about how we would get there. So instead of taking the first few months to get acclimated and soak it all in, it was time to get to work. We didn't have time to waste. We have serious ground to make up. You saw it in the video. Championship moments feel great. And we want to put our programs in a position to achieve that success again. Coming into my role as athletic director, I was fortunate enough to have a few things fall in place that allowed us to create a strategic plan for the direction of Lafayette athletics. I had the significant work and the discussions with the Athletics Review Steering Committee. I thank you for your efforts. I had the results of the athletics study that included valuable benchmarking data and recommendations for improvement. I also have a tremendous staff that was committed to working through the summer to complete the plan. And most importantly, I have the support from the college and its leadership for the plan itself and a genuine interest in seeing athletics be successful. Our strategic plan is indeed a plan. It creates the strategic direction. We have established goal implementation committees that will be pertinent to the success of the plan. With representation from athletics staff and coaches, faculty and staff, student athletes, we will achieve our goals. I thank everyone who has approached the future of Lafayette athletics with energy and enthusiasm and a willingness to help us achieve success. The commitment from the college to the success of athletics has already been in the works. The plan is the next phase, but it's important to note a few achievements since the start of the study 18 months ago. There have been strategic budget enhancements to specific sports. There have been adjustments to salaries for new head coaches that reflect the current market. We have had an expansion of the Oaks Leadership Academy to individual team sessions. We've had upgrades to athletic communications, video, and control room. Annette mentioned the relationship with enrollment and the communication and the enhancement with the admissions liaison program. We've had enhanced nutrition for our student athletes, access to sports psychologists. All of those things are important to the success of our programs. We've also been able to add an additional athletic trainer for this academic year, again, to support the success of our student athletes. Before I get into the plan, I must put into context the starting point for Lafayette athletics in terms of its competitive achievement. You are now viewing the last 6 years of our performance in the Learfield Directors' Cup, a national ranking system of all Division I institutions, approximately 331 schools. The Learfield Directors' Cup measures individual and team performance in NCAA championship competition, and you can see how we've done against our Patriot League peers. And in recent years, Lafayette has not fared very well. The next slide you'll see is the Corvius Patriot League President's Cup and how we measure up against our Patriot League peers in regular season competition, Patriot League play. Clearly, there's a significant amount of work to do. And yes, the goal is to start moving that Lafayette L over to the left. So now I'm going to go into the strategic goals that you all have been waiting for. And I must say that I'm truly excited to be able to deliver these plans to everyone that's here and certainly everyone that's listening. It's been a long time coming for me, and I think that you'll be excited to hear what I have to deliver. Winning is important to us, and so we'll start with strategic goal number 1, achieve competitive excellence. We want to cultivate a culture committed to winning conference championships and achieving postseason success. The objectives in this area start with professional development and establishment of expectations and accountability for our coaches and staff. We want to be able to provide professional development opportunities for them internally, as well as with their professional coaches associations, but also we've revamped the performance evaluation tool to set the goals and objectives in line with the vision for athletics so that our coaches know what's expected of them. And it's not just measured in wins and losses, but their performance will be measured in the experience and the culture that they'll be able to provide for our student athletes. The second objective is to be able to increase our staff and our budget, improving the salaries for our coaches, to be able to improve the number of coaches that we have so that we can retain good coaches and be able to provide that continuity for our student athletes. We also need to increase the operating budgets for our athletic programs so that they can recruit effectively and be able to provide the experiences for our student athletes that they deserve. The third objective is to be able to upgrade the recruitment and performance of our student athletes. And I think our relationship with enrollment has already taken that objective a step further. But we need to maximize that relationship, and we need to solidify our recruiting strategies with admissions and financial aid in order to maximize the kinds of student athletes that we can bring to Lafayette College. We also want to be able to measure the success of our coaches in those recruiting efforts, to be able to identify strong student athletes and identify them as blue chip or future all-stars. How are they going to be able to measure that out when those student athletes depart? Are we matching our efforts with the performance that we're actually seeing on the field? Strategic goal number 2, strengthen academic excellence. Our student athletes perform well academically. Our GPAs between non-student athletes and student athletes is small, but not a meaningful difference. The outcomes for our student athletes attending graduate school, starting salaries are high, and they have access to jobs just like every other student here at Lafayette College. And so therefore, we need to maintain our current approach to academic success while enhancing other areas. And so the objectives in academic excellence will be to continue to foster an environment and culture focused on intellectual development, academic excellence, and career preparedness. We want to partner with faculty on interdisciplinary opportunities for students and student athletes and faculty to work together to provide analytics for our teams and various opportunities for educational growth. We want to celebrate the academic excellence of our student athletes. I don't think we tell these stories enough. Our student athletes are great. We need to shout those stories from the rooftops and be able to share them on social media and on the internet and be able to provide interview opportunities for our student athletes to share the positive work that they're doing in the classroom. And we also need to maximize our relationship with the Career Center. We have tremendous support from the leadership there. How can we involve our alumni? How can we involve the Career Center to continue to provide internships and job opportunities for our student athletes at the highest level? The second objective is to continue to supply a best-in-class leadership development program that prepares our student athletes for their futures. We would like to expand the Oaks Leadership Academy so that first-year student athletes can be involved in that programming. We also would like to enhance our partnership with the College Leadership Program. But then also we want to make sure that we give our student athletes access to national experts in leadership and be able to bring them to campus, especially our alumni who have prominent leadership roles across the country. Strategic goal number 3, we want to provide the most positive student athlete experience possible. It's really important for our student athletes to walk away and say this is the best decision that they've ever made. That doesn't mean that our student athletes are going to be happy and excited about every single thing that we're going to ask them to do because we expect them to be challenged and we expect them to have growth along the way. But we want them to have a culture that's positive and experiences that are reflective of a Division I experience. So the first objective is to create an environment that promotes comprehensive wellness, personal development, and holistic support for our student athletes. Reviewing our existing policies regarding behavior and accountability and making sure those expectations are shared across our community. Providing educational resources with regards to sexual violence, alcohol, and drugs, all of those things that are so important for our student athletes to have, making sure that we're delivering top-notch education for them. And then empowering our staff on the Wellness and Performance Committee to be able to make recommendations regarding the additional needs that we have in our positive student athlete experience area, whether it be nutrition, fueling stations, sports psychologists, all of those things that are important to their everyday lives. We also need to hire and retain high-level coaches that develop positive team culture, and we need to make sure those expectations are met. and that our student athletes understand that that they have a contribution to their development as well. So strengthening our performance evaluation program for our coaches will aid in that, but we will also make sure that our student athletes understand their role in their development along the way. We also need to operate existing facilities or create plans to expand and create new ones to ensure that our student athletes have access to optimal training and support for student athlete success. We need to make sure that our facilities are adequate. They're beautiful, but sometimes we're crunched for space. So how can we maximize those opportunities for facilities and making sure that we have a plan to develop the proper spaces that are needed for our student athletes to have the athletic success that they like to have. Strategic goal number 4, build more community and spirit for Lafayette athletics. The first objective is to increase campus engagement. I think we've done a fantastic job at that. And I think the people in this room and the variety of people in this room representing campus indicates that we've done a pretty good job of integrating well on campus. But I think we can certainly maximize those opportunities for campus engagement and do a whole lot more. We'd also like to implement a guest coach program to give our faculty and staff an inside look into what's happening in our athletic programs to hopefully generate additional support and understanding for what goes on our athletic teams. We'd also like to enhance community service initiatives and experiential learning opportunities for our student athletes and staff. We want to make sure that we're engaged with the Lafayette community, with the Easton community, with the Lehigh Valley, making sure that we're getting out there and that people understand that we care about the community in which we are a part of. We want to maximize the athletics brand across campus and externally, whether it's social media, the internet, telling the stories of our student athletes, getting our staff out there to talk about what they're doing from a recruiting standpoint, being engaged in national committees, having speaking engagements across the country. I know I've certainly taken advantage of those opportunities to talk about Lafayette as much as possible, and so we'd like to do much, much more of that. And objective number 4 is to enhance the fan experience at our athletic events with the goal of increasing attendance. Making sure that when people come to our athletic events, it's a great experience. So being able to survey them, creating committees to be able to talk to people about their experience and what they'd like to see. And not just see it in our revenue sports, but be able to increase our attendance at our athletic events across the board. Strategic goal number 5, ensure integrity in everything that we do. We want to support the college's plan to increase student diversity across a wide range of factors, including gender, ethnicity, socioeconomics, and geography. We want to increase access to scholarships and need-based aid to support the enrollments of our diverse class of student athletes. We also want to provide the resources necessary for our coaches for them to go out and recruit the best student athletes out there. We will refresh our gender equity plan to maintain compliance with Title IX, enhancing opportunities and experiences for men and women. We want to make sure that we have a strategy for continued participation opportunities for women, increasing scholarship funding for women's sports, but then also increasing the funding and support to retain and recruit women coaches and administrators. We also need to strengthen our efforts related to diversity inclusion. That includes diversity training, as well as reviewing and enhancing our policies to make sure that we are providing the best service to underrepresented groups. And we also need to enhance our commitment to rules compliance and fiscal responsibility. We need to make sure that our compliance staff is adequate for the ever-changing and evolving Division I standards, but we also need to continue to maximize our current operating and fundraise dollars and be fiscally responsible. Strategic goal number 6, secure the funding necessary for success. And we'd like to do this by looking at 3 different aspects of funding. The first is to maximize support from the college's operating budget. We will develop a long-term budget plan to anticipate the priorities of the department and specific programs. We also need to demonstrate efficiencies on our own end and make sure that we are being fiscally responsible and not wasting the college's funds. We also will identify and maximize external revenue opportunities using our athletic assets, which we have not done a fantastic job at in the past. We need to increase our ticket sales. We need to look at external revenue generating opportunities in ticket sales, corporate sponsorships, youth camps, rentals of our facilities are all ideas that we have for how we can increase our revenue from an external standpoint. And lastly, we need to establish a fundraising plan that supports athletics annually and secures major gifts for future sustainability. We will do this by working more closely with the Maroon Club in terms of its structure. We also want to embark on an athletics-focused fundraising plan while also generating gifts to generate scholarship dollars through the Leopards Champions Fund. So the work has already started, but the future of Lafayette athletics begins today. We have put our goals into existence for everyone to see, and we must work every day to achieve them. Climbing the hill will not be easy. There will be cynics and naysayers, but on the other side, there are people who support Lafayette athletics and this college wholeheartedly and believe in the vision for what we have and what we can do for this program. Together, we will create a championship culture. We will be champions. Go Leopards.
Wow, thank you. If that doesn't make you want to go run wind sprints out on Fisher Field, I don't know what will.
I'm ready to go. How about you?
In preparing for today's event, I asked fellow alum who are certainly discouraged by results in recent history what their questions were, what they would like to ask you if they had the opportunity. And so before we can look forward, I think it makes sense to just take a quick look into the review. So as President Byerly mentioned, over 2 years ago, it was announced that an independent consulting firm would be engaged to provide a review of the athletic department. You talked about some of that. But can you tell us what the status of the review is, what your key findings were?
Yeah.
And how this strategic plan addresses some of those key findings?
Absolutely. Well, the strategic plan obviously came out of the key findings. The status of the plan of the review is complete. For anyone who can go online, it's on. There is a executive summary that is attached to the strategic plan. So
where is that?
It is online.
GoLeopards.com.
GoLeopards.com. If you'd like to read an executive summary of the athletics review to really understand what came out of that. But what we received were recommendations and strategic alternatives in terms of different ways that we could approach it. And what you'll find is that when we were looking at building up our programs and creating opportunities for success, those were two of the recommendations at the end. Those were two that we went with. One of the options was to do nothing, and we certainly couldn't do that. And then one of the other options was to cut sports, and we did not want to go in that direction. And so being able to create a scenario where we could build a plan to create competitive opportunities for the existing teams that we have and also think about the teams that we need to add were certainly the two pieces that we decided to move in.
Good. So GoLeopards.com, everybody. If you haven't seen the executive summary, you should. This is something that the school spent a lot of time and money on, and it's extremely important that you all understand that summary. So as Annette mentioned, one of the immediate results implemented was the liaison program with admissions and athletics. How has that gone?
It's gone very, very well. We've asked our coaches for their feedback, and certainly I meet with Matt Hyde every other week to just talk about how the program is going and how our relationship with admissions and financial aid is developing over time. And I think what we've seen is increased communication, new processes in terms of exchanging information regarding our recruits and our prospective student athletes. And so while there's a lot of progress that has been made, we certainly are always looking for ways to continue to improve. One of the mottos that we have in athletics is a champion's mindset, and I think a lot of people have adopted that too. It's an intrinsic motivation to think about how you can improve every single day. So where I say that a process or a program is going very, very well, we also recognize the more we tweak it and the more we improve it, the better we'll become. So it's not perfect yet, but we have made tremendous strides.
Thanks. I agree with you. I think incremental changes and a calibration of the program is really important. We, the men's soccer group, and I was president, or I am president of the Maroon Club. I used to be head of the Friends of Men's Soccer. We host a networking night. We've done it for over a decade now for the men's and women's program most recently, in which we bring the current student athletes in and talk about different career paths. We have great kids every single year. And so from the alumni perspective, we want them to win titles.
Yes.
Because it's a lot more fun.
We do too.
Yes. So this is a 5-year strategic plan. Where are we going to be at 2023?
Yeah, we want to put our programs in a position to have competitive success and to win championships. So I recognize that, and I know our coaches recognize this, you're not going to win a championship every single year. If you can manage that, then you've got the magic juice. But we want to make sure that our programs are in a position to be successful, to where they feel it is possible to win a championship. And so at the end of 5 years, I hope that our student athletes, when they are surveyed, that they are indicating that their experiences have been memorable and that they've had great positive experiences on their teams and that they've had opportunities to win. And I hope for a lot of our teams, we're able to have some championships to show for it.
You mentioned the coaches. Have they seen this plan before today?
Yes, they have. And they were involved in the process, as well as our entire staff. One of the things that we did, we had literally a Google Doc that we had open sessions for our coaches and staff to be a part of, to be able to provide feedback for us. And we went through the plan, gave them time to digest it, and then to be able to give us feedback. And so that was part of it as well. And even long before that, all of our sport administrators talk with their coaches. What does your program need to be successful? What are the differences between where we are and where we need to be in order to be able to compete for a championship? So that feedback we got from the coaches to be able to start the process. And that happened, a couple of months into the job. I also had individual meetings with all the head coaches when I first got here, first to get to know them, but to also understand what their perspective was in terms of what the differences were in terms of where we are today and where we could be.
So there were 2 slides up there that I've seen before, and we've been in executive committee meetings discussing. I don't like those slides. I don't think anybody else in this room likes those slides. We're all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Do you think being in the Patriot League helps or hurts Lafayette?
It certainly helps us. We are in the proper conference for the kind of academic institution that we are. So being in the Patriot League is the right conference for us. But we also just need to make sure that we're identifying our priorities as we have, and that we are moving forward with our strategic plan to make sure that we can maximize the opportunities that we have within the conference. But we certainly can be competitive within the Patriot League. There's no doubt in my mind.
Good. Let's move forward to fundraising, something that's near and dear to my heart. Almost a year ago, a group of dedicated alumni put together the Leopard Champions Fund with a commitment of $1 million.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Can you please provide a status of that fund today?
Yes. So we are currently working on a plan to be able to get additional funds provided to the Leopard Champions Fund. Obviously, wanting to put forth the plan to be able to articulate what the exact needs are, but certainly scholarships, which is what the fund is for, to be able to provide additional resources for women's scholarships is important. So there will be a full launch of the Leopard Champions Fund in combination with the fundraising efforts going forward.
That's great. So your first objective with fundraising said leveraging the college's operating budget. Mm-hmm. Has that happened already? What's the timeline on that?
Yes. So we have had ongoing conversations about what some of the athletic needs are in terms of operating budget, in terms of salaries for our staff. And so being able to have those open discussions and be able to move forward with plans for the future have certainly been very, very positive. So I am looking forward to continuing to work with Cabinet on being able to identify in each year where we can start to make make that incremental progress. I certainly recognize that it's not going to happen overnight. But I do understand that there's a commitment for the college, and I am certainly excited about that opportunity to continue to work with them on that. We've been able to do a lot already, and I know some of it isn't as visible to people, but as I mentioned earlier, we've been able to make some enhancements even before I got here, and certainly in the recent year in terms of being able to make the improvements to Metzger and being able to hire an additional trainer along with other things. The progress is ongoing, and I think with the launch of the strategic plan and being able to set things out and chart them out over a 5-year period will help the college support us more.
That's great. So in my role, as I mentioned, I'm also speaking with all of these alumni, and I mentioned they're discouraged. And what is your plan to re-engage with some of these disenfranchised individuals?
Yeah, I think part of it is being able to reach out with them and just simply pick up the phone, or being able to walk up to them and say hello and engage with them on a personal level first. I think for us, I think for some people, it's understanding that we have direction and that we have a plan for the future. But for me, it's about engaging first and foremost, just having a conversation about what some of the issues have been in the past and being able to identify them and have an honest conversation about it. I think not being afraid to walk up to that is certainly something that I've embraced and have been able to have, certainly some difficult conversations already and prepared to continue to have them. But I have found that most of the alumni that I have come into contact, like yourself, have been very excited about the plan, and very excited to kind of hear what we're doing, and have been excited about the vision for athletics from the very beginning. And so being able to continue to maximize those relationships and being able to start with those who have a true interest in where we're going is certainly what we'll try to capitalize on.
Are you planning to head out on the road anytime soon?
Well, I've been doing some of that already, but I think that's going to be part of it. So the next phase of this is to be able to sit down with each of the goal implementation committees and to really hammer out what the basically the day-by-day operational goals are. So that's going to be sitting down with Kim and her staff and really thinking about what those next steps are. But yes, prepared to go out on the road. I know that's going to be part of it.
So as a successful student athlete yourself, you're clearly competitive and ambitious.
Yep.
And so you talked a little bit about measuring success and coaching the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk in a little more detail about how you will measure success, not just wins, there are other factors, and then how you will develop and hold coaches accountable?
Yes. So one of the things that we've already done, we started it this academic year, was to make sure that our performance evaluation tool that we're using within the college's HR system is in line with the vision for athletics. So every coach knows what their expectations and goals are, aligned with the vision for athletics 1 through 5. So competitive excellence, what are your goals and expectations there? Academic excellence, and they're individualized plans for each coach. They're not all the same. And so depending on the resources that are provided and where we believe that a program can be, that's where that program's expectations are from a competitive standpoint. But for the most part, what they understand is that it's not just about wins and losses, it's about all the other factors that are at play. In particular, making sure that they're providing a positive student-athlete experience, that we have the culture, that we have the right environment for our student-athletes to be successful. Embracing a champion's mindset is part of it too. So we also understand that these changes won't happen overnight, but what are you doing each year to improve? How are you improving in recruiting? How are you improving in technique? All of those things are pieces that we've talked about, and our sport administrators are actively involved in with our coaches. But it's not just about setting the goals and expectations in July and then saying, okay, in May or June, okay, this is how you've done, and giving someone a score. That's not it. But really being able to engage with our coaches every other week in individual meetings, talking about how things are going, being present out in practices, being present at competitions to be able to make those evaluations, to be fair, but then also to be able to provide that feedback for coaches in terms of how are they doing, in ways that an outsider can look in and say, hey, you might want to consider certain things. Now, clearly we were not going to give X's and O's. I'm not going to tell a coach how to coach, but certainly we'll give feedback on how they're doing with respect to the goals and expectations that have been laid out.
And we have tremendous coaches. I know almost all of them, and it's a real honor to have them coaching these student athletes. What do you see as their biggest obstacle, as your biggest obstacle as you're implementing this plan?
Well, I mean, I think, for me, it's going to be having the patience to realize that, we need to look back and make sure that that we are appreciating the small wins as well as, looking forward to the big ones as well. So for me, it's going to be patience. It's going to be being able to say this is a plan that's going to take 5 years. Hopefully, it won't take 5 years to do, but the plan is, to be executed over a 5-year time. I want to win tomorrow. I mean, that's kind of how I am.
We all do.
But yes, we all do. But I know that's not going to happen. So I think just being able to have that patience to be able to understand that this is a process and you got to trust the process as we go along. And I think if we all can do that, we'll be successful.
Well, before I open it up to the rest of the group here, how do you think the athletic department could enhance not only the institutional but academic reputation of our school?
Well, I think our student athletes are great. I think we've talked about that a lot. And so being able to have our coaches out on the road, and they're already identifying supreme talent for our athletic teams, but they're also identifying supreme talent in terms of students to come to the college to add to the diversity, to add to the academic experiences and talents overall. And so I think we've got the same goals in mind. And so if we can identify the strong students and the strong student athletes, it's a win-win for everyone. And I think the community will be much better for it.
Thank you. So now I'll open up to you. We have 2 mics going around. If anybody has any questions, please raise your hand.
Yeah, I had a question. There's been a transition in the coaching staff for the football team. But 3 years ago, the Kirbys gave a $2 million endowment to be used by the head football coach. What is the status of that $2 million endowment? What has happened to that during the process of the transition?
To the new coach, all the endowments that have been established in the past are currently in the budget operating process, and the coach has access to them.
Is there any traceability for that $2 million endowment?
Absolutely.
Well, Bruce McCutcheon had promised me when I raised the issue who was going to keep track of that and monitor the way that fund was being expended. And is there, what is the accountant sheet on that? How much is left? And what's going on with that?
Yeah, well, certainly without my accounting book, I'm not going to be able to give you the exact amount of what's left in there, but certainly our finance division is tracking on that. And if there are follow-up questions that we can address individually, we can do that for sure. Happy to do that.
Thank you for that question. I'm Kim Spang, Development. That fund spins off about $100,000. It supports definitely Coach Garrett. He has access to that in support of assistant coaches' salaries as well as other operating needs. And it's something that we absolutely report on each year. And again, it spins off about $100,000 each year.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Hey, I think that it has been pretty clear that the administration the past 3 or 4 years doesn't really care about the performance of non-revenue sports at the college. And I was wondering, Ms. Freeman, how do you expect to go about these next 5 years trying to increase the administration's support of non-revenue sports and you yourself trying to support these sports here as well?
Absolutely, that's a good question. One of the things that we looked at in terms of our plan was how can we enhance the experience for all of our student athletes. And so as you look at the plan, there is no differentiation between scholarship sports or non-scholarship sports or non-revenue sports. And so for us, the plan is about how can we enhance the experience and resources and support for student athletes across the board. So when it comes to fueling stations, nutrition, sports psychologists, all of the support staff from equipment, all of those other areas, we're looking at how we can do that across the board. And really, honestly, I think that's the way we'll approach a lot of our increases for facilities, and all of that will be how can we support all of our student athletes at the same time.
Are there any other questions? In the back?
I can hear you, Rob.
Comments from the gentleman about the football endowment. And I played lacrosse, and all I can just generalize from an alumni perspective how Lafayette compares to what I would consider our Patriot League peers. And really, this is a kind of a shout out to support the school and recognize the challenge that the alumni have to step up and be supportive. And it's in the spirit of looking at it through the lens of endowed chairs compared to what I consider sort of our primary Patriot League peers, so, which is my point of view. So Lehigh, Colgate, Bucknell. They are running circles around us from an endowed chair perspective. And the seriousness of that should not be lost on any of us. So yes, it's great that football has an endowed chair, but it's not fully funding necessarily the coach's salary and the operating budget. When you put a 4 to 5% spend rate against that, you look at Lehigh, I don't know what the number is, but maybe they have 9 endowed chairs. You look at Bucknell, they've just got more. Colgate's got 6. So, in as much as we are supporting our faculty, you look at the amount of time a coach spends with a student athlete, and you put it through that lens, you realize the importance of endowing coaches' chairs. So I'm sorry, it's not a question. It's just more of an observation.
I appreciate that observation,
try and help out.
Rob.
Thank you, Rob. And the Maroon Club appreciates that observation. We have time for one more question. Cindy?
Hi, Cindy Oaks Linville, class of 80, former president of Maroon Club. It's a call to action to our alumni. If you are not excited and jazzed by that presentation, by Sharita's passion, by the leadership of Paulo, we can all do this, but we need every alumni to step it up. And that's not just alumni who played sports here. It's people who want every pillar in this institution to be at its excellence. And so I challenge everybody, and Sharita, it's not a question, it's just a shout out.
That's all right.
Because we need everybody to put the past aside, move forward. Everybody in this room, including the alumni, need to have that championship mentality. So I hope everybody agrees that we can get this done together. I love Climb the Hill, although I hated doing it when I was a student here, but I love Climb the Hill. So congratulations. I am so proud to have you lead this athletic vision. We have not had a strategic plan in athletics that has been articulated, and I applaud you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. So, Sharita, before we wrap up, what is the real takeaway that you want these folks in the room and everybody that's on the live stream to take away from the event?
Honestly, I think Cindy just closed it for us. It's really, I think for us, a lot of the work was putting the plan together, but the work is ahead of us. It's certainly a call to action for people who are passionate about the success of athletics, who really want us to have that success. I really would appreciate all of your support and really moving forward in the right direction. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of conversations, but I think if we approach it together, we can achieve our goals. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to rolling up my sleeves and working with every single one of you in this room to get it done. That's it.
Thank you, Sharita. And thank you all for your time today and your commitment to Lafayette Athletics. As Cindy said so eloquently, if you're not excited about this, then maybe you should go down to the school down the road. We have a really bright future here for our student athletes that involves trophies under the leadership of Sharita, her staff, and our coaches. So thank you again, and on the count of 3, can I get a go Pards? 1, 2, 3. Go Pards!
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Sharita, great job.
We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot.